Hello everyone, welcome to our online Art 203 course. My name's Dr. Coltrane. Probably some of you know me from other classes you've had with me. Most of you will get to know me not only here online but through the myriad of classes that they force art majors at Shepherd to take with me. But whether this is your first time in one of my classes or you've had many classes before, I'm hoping that this summer will be a time in which you can learn some really important things that can help you in your growth as an artist and a person. I just want to explain really quick why I'm having this video. Online classes are kind of an interesting thing. I'm the kind of teacher that really likes the classroom, and so doing online classes is a little bit challenging for me. And I worry whether or not my students learn the same kinds of things in the online setting they do in the classroom. And I work really hard to try to make the online class experience as similar to a classroom experience as I can. But online education is a different thing, and I think it's really important to kind of lay out some ground rules and talk about what the class is going to look like, what the expectations are like, and so that's what this video is sort of for. Um, like I said, I'm Dr. Coulter and I teach most of the art history classes here at Shepherd. I am an art historian. And you'll get to know me a little bit better in your first assignment. I'm going to talk about this towards the end, but we'll have a little thread in our discussion forum online on our Course Sakai site where we do some introducing to one another, and I'll tell you some things about me then, and I'll ask you some questions about yourself. So I won't go too much into my biography or things now, but I like teaching art history. I like art and I like history, and I really like the ways in which they come together. And I think in very compelling and interesting ways kind of shape one another. And we'll see that throughout the course. But I'll hold off a little bit more on my introduction until we have our little online discussion forum. What I really want to have this video about, though, is to articulate some of the special skills and unique things about online education you need to be aware of. Some of you might have had online classes before. For others of you, this might be your very first experience. Either way, it's important that everybody's aware of this information going in. There are two skills that are really important to be successful in the online class environment. The first is initiative, and the second is organization. Initiative is important because, in contrast to a regular classroom experience, I am not there always prodding you, and people aren't telling you to show up from this time to this time until the class ends. It's all on you. You have to make the choice to sit down at your computer and watch a 2-hour lecture. And at any moment in those 2 hours, you could pause it or close your computer or go do something else, but you have to have the discipline to sit down there, to get a piece of paper, a notebook, and to take notes while watching an online lecture the same way you would in a classroom experience. And in the same way that you wouldn't probably, well, some of you do, just walk out in the middle and do something else for a while and then come back. I really advise you to treat this in a similar way, and that when you start doing something, finish doing that thing. So it takes a lot of initiative. When assignments are due, I'm not beating you over the head and reminding you, study for this tomorrow, get this ready. You'll know when they're due, but it's up to you to kind of regulate your time so that you get them done. And that's the second important thing, is organization. You need to be able to look at what you have to accomplish in a certain time frame, particularly in a week. I divide this class into what I call modules, and a module takes 1 week. And you have to look at that and say, okay, I have a week, and A, B, C, D, E, F, and G are all I got to get done in that week. When am I going to do these things? And I highly recommend you try to break the tasks up and every day have a few things you do so that you don't go crazy. This is a kind of experience where you either get organized and have initiative and you stay on top of it, or you don't do either of those things, or you don't even do one of those two things. You fall behind and you don't pass the class. There's very little kind of middle ground. In a normal semester, you can show up in my classroom every class, do mediocre work, do half the assignments, and you might eke out a passing grade. You might get a D. I don't know. It's happened before, although it has sometimes not worked out so well either. But there's a lot of wiggle room for, a C kind of D experience where you show up, you're kind of there, you put in some effort, but not all your effort. Um, this is a different experience. It's either you do it and you tend to succeed in it, or you don't do it and you fail. Um, just to give you a sense here, and I'll probably say this lots of times. So we're basically trying to cram a whole semester's worth of material into 4 weeks. Technically, the semester is 4.5 weeks long. What I've decided to do is take that final half week and allow you just to work on your final exam essay. So basically, you're looking at 4 weeks, 1 month, to do 3 months worth of work. That means it's going to be very intense and fast and quick. And you need to learn to manage your time to stay on top of it, because if you get behind, it can really overwhelm you. Okay, so I'm hoping at this point most of you who have got here because you've already found our class Sakai site. You've clicked on the lessons tab and you've clicked on the orientation, where I have a lot of words and I walk you through how the class works and the assignments. And I'm not going to go over everything here that's there. I'm assuming you have read that, you've taken notes on it, you're aware of those things. And I'll just be covering some of those things here that I think are really important. If you haven't either looked over the orientation page on Sakai or read very thoroughly our syllabus, you need to go do both of those things right now. Normally a syllabus is the kind of thing you look at the first day, you shove in your bag, and you sort of forget a lot of things about it. In an online class, you can't do that. The syllabus is kind of your lifeline. The two places you'll go to know what to do in this class are your syllabus and the lessons tab on our online Sakai site. Those two places will guide you through most of everything, but you have to read the things and make note of what they say, because I won't be sitting there reminding you every day what's due next time. You have to police yourself. The other thing you need to do is I will make announcements on our course Sakai site, so you need to check your Shepherd email daily. It won't go to other email addresses, it'll go to your Shepherd email. And check the class Sakai site daily and look for any new announcements. If I need to get information out in an online class environment, that's the only way I have to do it. You need a couple things besides initiative and organization. You do need a couple more nuts and bolts kinds of things for the class. At the top of that list would be a functioning computer and a very good internet connection. It is an online class, which means your internet connection and your computer are going to be the ways you experience the class. And I'm going to say right now that the internet not working or going out or my hard drive failed, none of those things are excuses for handing in work late. You need to have right now a backup plan for if your main computer stops working, your internet goes out, whatever. You need to have a library you can go to, a computer lab you can go to, a friend's house you can go to, a parent's house you can go to. You need to have some kind of backup plan so that when that happens, which it probably will sometime in our 4 weeks, you have somewhere to go in order to complete your assignments and keep up with the class. You also need a good internet connection. Most of what you're going to be doing in this class is watching online lectures, which will be something like this, although they'll be a little bit different. Usually what will happen is you'll see me talking here kind of in a similar way, usually with less books behind me and slightly better lighting. But something like this, and that'll be a kind of small corner of your screen, and most of your computer screen will be taken up by art that I'll be talking about. These videos will be linked to in your lessons tool, and they're available on YouTube. I've recorded them at a really high resolution, because not so you can see my face at a very high resolution, but so you can see the art at a very high resolution. That is really important. So you absolutely need to watch these videos in full frame, so you click on the full screen tab on YouTube so they come up. That'll allow you to actually see the art I'm talking about. But sometimes watching a high definition video on YouTube can require a decent computer and a good internet connection. So you're going to want to make sure you have each of those two things, or else the class is going to be very frustrating for you if your videos are always pausing or buffering or the resolution's bad. All those things can be big problems. So make sure you get that taken care of. You also need a couple things for the class. I don't assign a big expensive textbook for you to buy, because generally speaking, I don't think they're worth the big expensive prices you pay for them. What I do instead is there's two things you need to buy, and then the other things will all be free. The first thing you need is you need to get this book. It's called, let me see if I can get it so it's not glaring too bad. It's called Basilica. Um, it is a book about the rebuilding of St. Peter's Cathedral, which is the seat of the Catholic Church during the Renaissance and the Baroque era. We'll be reading that book in Module 2, which is basically the second week of the class. So if you haven't got that book yet or ordered it, you need to figure out a way to get it. It should be in the Shepherd University bookstore if you're on campus. Otherwise, it's available really widely online. Amazon.com has it for, I checked today, at least today, it was about $12 new. So, and there's used copies everywhere. So make sure you order that book and get it by the second week of class. The other thing you're going to need to pay for, maybe, if you haven't already, or if your parents haven't already, you need access to a Netflix account. We'll be watching a number of documentaries during the class, and you have to be able to access some of these documentaries which are only available on Netflix. Some are on YouTube, but some are only on Netflix. So this is a month-long class. It's about $9 a month. It's a pretty small expense in contrast to a big textbook, and you get to watch other movies if you have any spare time, though you won't have a lot since you're doing this class and probably working a job. Okay, so need the book, need Netflix access, need a computer, you need good internet access. Those are the kind of nuts and bolts sides of things. Now I just want to spend a few minutes giving you some advice and kind of outlining what an average week would look like during our term. Because they are heavy, they're fast, there's a lot to do, and I want to give you a sense of how much there is to do and how you might break it up and budget your time. So, if you've read over the orientation section, you probably sort of know this, but I just want to walk you through everything that's due in each module. And like I said, the term is 4.5 weeks long. I'm giving you the last half week to do your final exam. So basically, we're doing everything in about 4 weeks. In those 4 weeks, in each week, so let's take each module, each week, you've got all these things to complete. You need to watch 4 online lectures. They're roughly 1 to 2 hours. They vary per piece. So you got 4 of those each week to watch. So you're looking at anywhere from probably 5 to 8 hours of online lecture watching. You have to read something. Sometimes it'll be an article, as I mentioned. Sometimes it'll be a book, but you'll be doing some reading. And anytime you read something in this class, you'll also be writing something. You'll write a response paper. It'll be a 1-page 1 to 2 page. Sometimes, in the case of the book, it's a little bit longer because it's a whole book. But it'll be a response paper based on what you've read. So you've got that. You're going to have in every section what I call a contemporary touchstone project. A contemporary touchstone project is a way to try to make what we're talking about in the past relatable to things that are happening today. Sometimes directly to the realm of art, other times just to culture and history that's happening all around us. Frequently this will involve you watching a documentary and writing something on it, but they take slightly different forms. But you will always have to do something and then write something as well. You'll also be watching not only documentaries for the contemporary touchstone response, but you will be watching some documentaries in addition just for information in the course. So you'll be watching anywhere from 1 to 3 documentaries each week as well. So we're building up. You've got a quiz each week you'll take. It's an online 15-minute timed multiple choice quiz based on the lectures and the documentaries. So my expectation is when you watch a documentary, you take notes. And you take notes when you watch a documentary, and then these are open note quizzes you'll take at the end of the week. You also are going to be participating in an online discussion forum each week. So obviously, because we don't meet together in a class, it's hard to generate classroom discussions. The way we replicate that is on our Sakai site, there's going to be a discussion forum, and each week I'm going to post a topic. And you have to do 3 things. First, you have to post a response to that topic, to whatever question or project I give you. And then you need to respond to 2 other people's postings as well. So it creates a little bit of a dialogue in our classroom setting. So you'll get points for that, and that needs to be done. So That's a lot of things. Oh, and I should remind you, with regard to those discussion postings, most things in this week will be due on Friday night at midnight. I imagine the week as going basically Monday through Friday, and then you have the weekend. If you want to spend time or need to spend time working on the weekend, you can. That's perfectly fine. But I'm envisioning this as a Monday through Friday kind of thing, and everything is due Friday night at midnight. You can hand everything in before then, of course, but that's the absolute due date. The only exception to that is the online discussion forum, because if everybody posts their first discussion response at 11:50 on Friday night, there's not going to be much of a discussion. So you have to have your first posting during the week to the class discussion topic by Thursday night at midnight. That gives us a full day Friday to have a little bit more of a discussion if people haven't got around to posting. So most things are due Friday night at midnight. Your first post, not all your posts, but your first post in the discussion forums due Thursday night at midnight. So just to rehash, in 1 week, in a Monday through Friday, and I actually think a healthy way to think about it is to think about the class going Monday through Thursday. And what that does is it gives you either Friday off, which is nice, or it gives you a backup day that if you haven't completed everything, you can get it done on that Friday. So if we imagine Monday through Thursday, here's what you have to complete Monday through Thursday. You've got 4 online lectures, so let's say one of those a day. So that's going to be anywhere from 1 to 2 hours just on that. In addition to the lectures, you'll have 1 to 3 documentaries to watch. You'll have something to read. You'll have a summary to write based on that reading. You'll have a contemporary touchstones response to write. You'll have online discussion forum postings to make. And you'll have a quiz to take. Now, the quiz doesn't take too much time. That's 15 minutes. But the other things do take some time. So basically, if you're thinking Monday through Thursday, you're looking at every day watching one online lecture. And I really would recommend breaking those up because nobody wants to watch more than one online art history lecture in a day. So, watch one in a day, and then you usually have to do at least one other thing, whether that's watch a documentary, read something, write something. But if every day you watch a documentary, if every day you watch an online lecture, Monday through Thursday, and then you do one other thing, you read, you write, you watch a documentary, you make an online discussion posting, then by Thursday, you should be mostly done with everything. Then you take the quiz at the end and you're good to go. But if you push everything off and don't do anything until Thursday, you're going to be in a lot of trouble. It's really difficult to pile all this stuff on the last couple days of the week. So you need to pace yourself. You need to plan on putting in about 4 hours a day to this class in order to do well on it. And then, of course, crammed in there also, you're going to have a midterm and a final exam essay to write. They won't be real long, but they do require a decent bit of time. There'll be 3-page essays in response to a question that I will give you. So it's a lot of work, and staying on top of it's really important. I penalize late work 50%, so you lose a lot of points if things are late. And there's certain things you can't hand in late, specifically your lecture quizzes, your module quizzes. There'll be these open note quizzes based on taking notes on lectures and documentaries. Those are due Friday night at midnight. I will accept a late quiz until Sunday night at midnight, but after Sunday night at midnight, we are done with that. We have to move on to the next module. So you can't take them any later than Sunday night at midnight. I have a piece of advice now that applies to getting going as quickly as you possibly can on this. Some of you might be watching this little orientation video right now, the very first day of classes. Some of you hopefully might be watching it the week before that. I'll try to get this information out to you before classes start. If you are watching this video now, anytime before classes are supposed to technically start, if I were you, I would just imagine classes starting right now. Because what that will do is it'll give you a little more wiggle room and take a 4-week class and maybe make it a 4.5 or a 5-week class. And that little extra time actually will help a lot. Specifically because your second module is the most intense one. That's the module which you'll be reading this whole book. Now, I will say, this is a fun book to read for it's not an academic book per se. It's not written for scholars. It's written for the mass public. It reads pretty quick, but it is a few hundred pages, and it takes some time. And I do that during that second module when we get to it. We're not going to have a couple of the other things like you're not going to have a contemporary touchstone response, but you do have a few documentaries to watch. You have all your lectures to watch. You have to read the whole book. You have to write about the book. It's a lot of work. And then to cap it off, at the end of that second week, you have to start working on your midterm exam, which is due a few days later. Long story short, if you can get started a little bit early on this class and have a few extra days in that second module, in that second week leading up to your midterm, you're going to be feeling a lot better about things. So if I were you right now, whenever you're watching this, hopefully it's a little bit before the classes technically start in the summer term, I would get going right away. Because if you can be a little bit ahead of the game leading into that second module, you'll be feeling much better about your life. So that's just a little piece of advice. You don't have to take it. You can absolutely just do this class. There's 4 weeks and 4 modules, and you can do them all. But I just wanted to give you a heads up that the second module will take the most time. So if you can have a few extra days there, it would help. Okay, a couple last things. One is a lot of these lectures I originally recorded for an online Art 103 class. Now, Art 103 technically covers from the beginning of time up until the present day. Your class, Art 203, covers from the beginning in time up until the end of the 19th century, which is, there's a lot of overlap, I guess is what I'm saying. And a lot of these online lectures were recorded for that class. When I recorded them, though, I knew I would be using them eventually, hopefully, for both classes. So I try to not speak specifically to the Art 103 crowd. But if I happen once in a while to say things like, I know you're not all art majors, but I'm sorry, because most of you are art majors listening to this now. But most of the stuff is going to apply right over. If you have any questions or there's anything confusing, feel free to email me. I just say that just in case just so you know, if I say something like, I know you're not all art majors, you probably are still watching the right lecture. Okay, one last thing really. You have an assignment to do right now, whether you are watching this the first day or earlier. I want you to do 3 things right away. And this was mentioned in your orientation section if you read over that, hopefully. The first thing you need to do is you need to go to a website called Turnitin.com, and you need to either log into your account or create an account, and you need to link your account to our class. Turnitin.com is online software which allows you to submit papers and allows me to grade them and get them back to you with lots of good feedback. And it is how you will submit all of your assignments during this term. So you need to make sure that you know how it works and that you're connected to our class. You'll see all of our assignments there. There'll be a calendar with all the due dates. It's where you'll submit all the things. It's where you'll see your papers after I hand them back to you. If you already have an account, you just need to log in, and then what you need to do is there's a specific number that designates our class. I've put that number in the orientation section multiple places. I've put it in our syllabus, and I have made an announcement on Sakai that has that number as well in it. And then the only other thing you need is a password, and the password is simply Shepherd, so it's pretty easy. But after you enter the number and the password, it will connect your account to this class. And that has to happen before you can hand in any assignments. So you need to go and make sure you do that right now. And then the next 2 things you need to do are connected, and I alluded to them a little bit earlier. Basically, I want to get to know you a little bit. Most of you I will teach again, and it helps me to get to know you. To help me get to know you, and you to get to know me, really, I want you to go to our online discussion forum, and I've made a thread there where we can introduce ourselves to one another. Not only me to you, but you to your fellow classmates as well. I'll tell you a little bit about me there, and I'll ask a few questions that I want all of you to respond to. Just want information about where you're from and what your major is, what your concentration is in your major, if you're an art major. You know, you have hobbies. Want to know something unique about each of you, so you can be thinking about what unique thing you want to share with the rest of us. And the other thing you need to do is you need to load an image of your face as an avatar, so when you make a posting, I can see what you look like. That helps me get to know you a lot better than if I have either no image of your face or an image of you know, Luke Skywalker or Pikachu or something like that. So make sure it is a picture of you that's relatively recognizable. And then answer these questions, and you'll be good. And I'll give you points for all those 3 things. So count on Turnitin.com, link to our account. Make sure you upload your avatar image, and I have detailed instructions on how to do that if you can't figure it out. And then you need to make your post where you introduce yourself to me. You need to do those 3 things before the end of the first day of classes, which, if you're watching this right now, might be today. If you're watching it early, get ahead of the game a little bit. And then dive in as quickly as you can to the first module. Because, again, you don't want to get behind. Start watching your online lectures and start taking notes, watching documentaries, all the things you'll be doing throughout the term. Like I said, I'll do my best to answer your emails, hopefully within 24 hours. On the weekend, it might be 48 hours, but I'll do my best. And if you have questions, you can contact me that way. But hopefully everything's programmed right and it's pretty self-explanatory on our Sakai site. Go to the lessons tool. That'll always be the thing that will walk you through each of the weeks. Okay? Well, I'm excited. I hope you learned something from this class and not be too frustrated or tortured by the fact that we've crammed a whole semester's worth of material into 4 weeks. But either way, I hope on the other end you will. I felt like you learned something. All right, take care. Bye.